aming mga bayani. Maraming salamat po sa inyong serbisyo. Lahat kami ay saludo at sumusuporta sa inyo.
Hatid sa inyo ng PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Ang mga fake news ay di dapat pinapatulan.
Ito lang kayo makinig ng totoo.
Dahil ang dulot lang nito ay gulo at kalituhan.
I do not have the duty to lie to you. Bakit ako magsinungaling?
Kaya't huwag maging biktima sa pamahalaan, magbigay tiwala.
Pakiusap ko lang, huwag kayong mag-fake news. Pag mag-fake news kayo,
Make sure your opinions are based on facts. Be aware, stay updated, be educated. Stop fake news and dismiss disinformation. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, KBP, DOH at ng himpilang ito.
COVID-19, reminders from DOH. Tamang paggamit ng mask. Makakatulong ang pagsuot ng surgical mask para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng mga viruses na nagdudulot ng nakakahawang sakit tulad ng COVID-19. At para ito ay maging epektibo, narito ang tamang paraan ng paggamit nito. Una, hawakan ng mask sa strap at siguraduhin natatakpan nito ang bibig at ilong. Tandaan na ang white side ng mask ang nasa loob at ang blue o ang may kulay na side ang nasa labas. Sunod ay imolde ang nosepiece ayon sa hugis ng iyong ilong. Sa paghubad ng face mask, sa strap ito hawakan at saka itapon sa tamang basurahan. Huwag kalimutan na maghugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig.
Basta't laging handa at sama-sama, kaya natin to. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Sa patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19, narito ang ilang impormasyon tungkol sa social distancing. Sa community quarantine, nililimitahan ang paggalaw ng mga tao. Ganito rin ang sitwasyon sa sektor ng transportasyon, subalit patuloy ang biyahe ng cargo at delivery. Ipinagbabawal naman ang pagtitipon-tipon sa isang lugar. Suspendido rin ang klase at ibang aktibidad sa loob ng isang buwan. Ipinapatupad din ang flexible working hours sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at hinihimok din ang mga pribadong kumpanya na gawin din ito. Sa panahong ito, hinihikayat ang lahat na panatilihin ang layong 1 metro o 1 dipa mula sa mga tao sa inyong paligid. Labanan ng virus, pigilan ang pagkalat, puksain ang COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Transmitting live from our brand new studios at TV5 Media Center and Reliance Mandaluyong. By land, by sea, and on air. Mula sa pinakamaksyong newsroom sa buong bansa. 25,000 watts. Radyo Singko, 92.3 News FM. Iwanan mo na ang lumang tunog ng AM.
Power and Play! Narito na ako, Noli Eala, kilalanin ang mga nasa likod ng bawat laro. Sa buhay man o sa playing court, game na tayo! Power and Play sa Radyo Singko 92.3 News FM.
May 23 at muli po nagbabalik ang inyong paboritong kasama sa almusal, your morning and your breakfast partner, ang Power and Play with Noli Eala. Mayong buntag sa lahat po ng mga nakikinig sa atin sa Radyo Singko 92.3 News FM, lalong-lalo na dyan po sa lalawigan ng Cebu and of course sa buong pong Kabisayaan. Magandang umaga din po mga kaibigan sa lahat naman ng mga nanonood sa atin sa 1PH on Signal TV, lalong-lalo na po sa ating mga kaibigan sa San Pablo Colleges Medical Center, dyan po sa San Pablo City, Laguna, na hanggang ngayon ay nasa ilalim pa rin ng modified enhanced community quarantine. At of course, kinakamusta po natin lahat ng mga nanonood sa pamamagitan ng Facebook Live and sa YouTube channel ni yung pong aming bagong tinatag, yung Noli Eala YouTube channel. Good morning to all of you, and we will have a terrific Saturday morning, another terrific show in store for all of you today. Bago ko po ipakilala lahat ng mga magiging panauhin natin, sana po kayo ay nasa sa mabuting kalagayan. Yung mga nakalabas na, yung mga nagtatrabaho na muli, yung mga gusto lamang makalabas at nagpunta po sa mga iba't ibang lugar na pwede nang puntahan, ingat-ingat pa rin po. Stay vigilant at sana po patuloy tayong maging conscious sa ating kapaligiran and of course sa ating pangangatawan na ating patuloy na susundin ang mga payo ng eksperto na tayo po ay magkaroon ng social distancing, hugas ng kamay, wag pong hahawakan ng mukha, and of course patuloy na magsuot ng face mask. Binabati nga pala natin mga kaibigan, lahat po ng kaibigan natin na nagsasapit ng kanilang kaarawan, lalong-lalo na ang aking kapatid, kaibigan at katulong po namin dito sa Power and Play, si Maria Cristina Stoner Tan. So amin po si Tita Tina, si Tita Chris. Happy birthday, Tins. I hope you have a good one. You stay safe kung saan ka man naroroon. Of course, nais din natin pong kamustahin lahat po ng mga frontliners na nanonood sa atin, lahat po ng mga nakikinig sa atin sa kanilang mga sasakyan, and of course, lahat po ng mga suki ng palatuntunan Power and Play. I'd like to say hello sa buong pamilya ni Junar Talento na 2 buwan na siyang nawalay sa kanyang pamilya dyan po sa San Pablo City sa Laguna dahil na-lockdown nga tayo dito sa NCR. Inakamusta niya ang kanyang may bahay na si Joy at ang kanyang mga anak, si JV, si Jomar, si Princess at si Angel. So lahat po kayo, maayos na maayos si Junar. Sana po ay kayo din ay nasa sa magandang kalagayan. Kagaya na nasabi natin mga kaibigan, ito po ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa Tibay, and of course, Cherry Lube, ang yerong may aluminum. Nais ko rin pong kamustahin ang ating mga kaibigan na sila Nap Magno at si Liz Luciano ng San Miguel Corporation. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Alright, at this point, mamaya-maya po, ang patuloy na pinag-uusapan natin dito, ang kawalan ng mundo ng palakasan. Although dahan-dahan na po nagbubukas ang mundo. We've seen this all over the world. We've seen many parts of Europe, many parts of the United States. Sa Asia, nakikita na rin po natin naglalaro ang iba't ibang liga. Nakita natin ang Bundesliga na nagsimula, ang Premier League magsisimula, yung pong mga liga sa Taiwan. So slowly, the world of sports is opening up. And dito po sa ating bansa, well, yung mga lugar na GCQ, meron ng mga pinapayagang mga laro. Kakamustahin po natin mamaya si Mark Velasco, yung pong Philippine Sports Commission at Philippine Institute of Sports. Siya po ang National Training Director. Meron po silang ginawang framework or tool para po sa pagbubukas muli ng sports. Tatanungin natin, ano ba yan? At ano ba ang naging basihan? At kailan ba talaga? O ano kaya ang mga kondisyon na para muling magbukas ang larangan ng palakasan? Makakausap din po natin mamaya yung mga mahihilig sa golf. Yung pong Secretary General ng National Golf Association of the Philippines, si Bones Floro. Pag-uusapan natin, ano bang new normal sa golf? Ano bang pwede at hindi? Pwede na ba maglaro? Ako handang-handa na Pero hindi makalabas at hindi makalaro. Pag-uusapan po natin mamaya yan. And of course, kamustahan once again in our second hour. Noong pong taon, ngayon na panahon ng Last Dance, nauuso yung mga memories Magbabalik tanaw po tayo sa taong 1988 kung saan pumasok ang 3 super rookies, the big 3 ng Pure Foods noong taon na yon na virtually, so to speak, save the PBA. Alvin Patrimonio, Jerry Codiñera, at si Jojo Lastimosa. We will also have a talk with our Olympic hopeful sa pole vault. Siya po'y nakapainanim natin noong Webes 2 nights ago at siya po ay andun pa rin sa Formia, Italy, kung saan siya ay nagtitraining at inabutan ng lockdown. Ano ba ang buhay na mag-isa para kay EJ Obiena? Pero mamaya-maya, right after this intro, in just a short bit, ang isa nating kakamustahin ay ang isa sa pinakamagaling na player na ating inaasahang sasama sa Philippine basketball scene. And he is the future of Gilas and of course of Philippine basketball. Mamaya, ipapakilala natin siya. Pero bago po yan, pulsuhan muna natin ngayong araw na ito. Kasi marami ang ating pinag-uusapan, marami na rin tayo namimiss na mga atleta. Ika nga, ako halimbawa, nung isang araw, pati si Mike Tyson, nakita kong naghahanda ng kanyang sarili para lumaban daw kay Evander Holyfield. Kanina naman, nagpalabas si Eric Morales na sabi niya, yun daw pagkatalo niya kay Pacquiao ay dahil sa kagagawan ng pagbaba ng kanyang timbang na pinilit ni Senador Manny Pacquiao. So ang dami pong umuusbong ng mga bali-balita. Sino ba talaga? At ito ang ating pupulsuhan dahil sa dinami-dami ng mga atletang hindi po natin nakikita o napapanood. Sino ang atletang pinaka-namimiss nyo ngayon pong panahon ng quarantine? Pulsuhan po natin yan kasi alam sure meron kayong mga paborito. But sino ba yan na gusto nyo sanang makita na ngayon pong pare-pareho tayong nasa ating mga bahay lamang? Pulsuhan po natin yan. Kung kayo po ay merong reaksyon o merong komentaryo, mag-text lamang sa aming hotline 0949-691-4956 o di kaya sa aming Facebook page, mag-post po kayo, Power and Play with Noli Eala o sa Radyo Singko 92.3 News FM. Alright, mga kaibigan, at this point, ipapasok ko na po ang ating unang panauhin para sa araw na ito. He is coming live from Toledo in Ohio, USA. He is, of course, a former Batang Gilas standout and touted to be one of those that will banner our Twin Tower combination with Kai Soto for many, many years to come sa Philippine basketball. Walang iba kung hindi ang ating pinagmamalaking si Ariel John AJ Litang Edu. Good morning from the Philippines. Good evening, AJ.
Good evening.
Really good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, right now you are still on lockdown there in Ohio, in Toledo?
Yeah, that's right. We're still on lockdown, but hopefully in the next coming weeks we'll start to open up stuff a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So, well, let me go straight to the many items that I want to discuss with you this morning, AJ. It's been almost a year since you had an injury playing for the Philippines in the 2019, and that was in June 2019, FIBA Under-19 World Championship, the World Cup. How is your injury? How is your ACL? How are you healing? And how many % are you ready to play again?
I mean, it's been obviously a long recovery process, but it's been very good. I've been blessed to have very good staff around me through this recovery process. Obviously, with the whole situation right now with the virus, rehab has been a little bit difficult, but my knee is feeling very good. I'd say I'm around maybe like 80 to 85% right now. Feeling good. I can shoot. I can obviously with a limit I can dunk. So I mean I'm feeling great.
So you have been doing some exercises. You've been continuing your rehab even under the conditions of the lockdown.
Yeah. So thankfully they were able to send me like a program that I can follow. So yeah, that's what I've been doing really.
All right. You know what's interesting about your young career is that you missed the FIBA Under-19. That was your first game when you got that injury. Obviously, that also hurt you in your sophomore season with the University of Toledo, and you have to redshirt. And here comes now the virus that has again hindered your progress towards a full recovery. How are you coping with all these little bumps along the road in your young career? And, what's your mindset to all of these lost time?
I mean, as you said, it's just little bumps. I know where the road is heading. I know the journey where I want to lead. So, I mean, these little bumps, I just try and use it as motivation, really, to keep working and not take it for granted, like every day. Make sure I'm getting better. I mean, also I could link it back to when the injury first happened. I looked at it as like a blessing in disguise, really. It's an opportunity for me to focus on little stuff like my basketball handles, my shooting, and I mean, I think that has improved. So I'm just gonna keep working, really, and you guys will see that come into fruition.
And all of these, you're going through it with the help, I suppose, of a lot of people, especially your
Hmm.
family.
Yeah, I've had a lot of support. It's been really good. I mean, obviously being stuck in the US doesn't sound ideal, but the coaches have been great. My family's been great, friends as well. So I've been in a really good place, really. And yeah, just really want to get back at it, really.
All right. Well, talking about your family, you are a Filipino by blood as well as a Nigerian because your
Hmm.
father was born in Nigeria. He is Nigerian. He played basketball for his own home country, and he also coached in Wales when you transferred over there. How big of an influence has been your father to you in your career and in the decisions you've made so far? In your career?
He's been a very big influence. I mean, he wasn't someone that like forced me into basketball. I When I was younger, I just saw that he played basketball, and I kind of looked up to him and wanted to be like him in terms of a basketball player. So I just sort of decided to go with basketball, and he's always supported me throughout this journey. Always been there for advice. Always been there and supporting me. So I'm just very blessed and thankful to have him in my life.
Your mom, on the other hand, Josie, is from Surigao City. First of all, have you been to your mom's place?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, I've been to the Philippines a lot of times, but I haven't had the opportunity. I mean, when I was really young, I'd say like two, three, I was over there, but I really can't remember anything. So, I
And
mean, hopefully soon.
growing up, did she ever tell you how big basketball here is in the Philippines?
No, really, I didn't realize how big it was until I actually started going in that direction, the Batang Gilas direction, and seeing how like people reacted and the support that just came in out of nowhere. And I did my research a little bit, and yeah, I was amazed at how much they love basketball in the Philippines.
Well, it's clearly something that has attracted many players to play in the Philippines. No, but you learned basketball in Cyprus when you transferred there. That is correct, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then you moved to England, and you're a native of Nigeria as well. So my
Hmm.
question is, why the Philippines? Why did you decide to choose your mother's homeland over your father? Because I know you were being tracked by Nigeria, you were being tracked by England
Hmm.
to play for them. Why choose the Philippines? Not that I mind, but it's just really something that, out of curiosity, how AJ fell into the Philippines.
I mean, it's simple. It's as simple as the passion that they have for basketball in the Philippines. I mean, compared to Nigeria, or Cyprus, or even the UK, basketball is not really as much of a interest in like the general population as it is in the Philippines. And just seeing how much they love basketball, I was thinking about how I would love to represent those type of people, people who share a similar passion for basketball as me. So it was a simple decision, really. Wasn't very difficult, and ultimately, I believe the right decision.
Well, clearly, it's the passion of the Filipino that is in you that's burning, and that's what led you to play for the national team. And
That's right.
absolutely, you're one of the biggest catch that we've had in so many years. Now,
Appreciate
uh,
that.
let me ask you about your experience getting to the point where you are right now. You were, well, of course, the one of the first events where you were really noticed not only locally but internationally was the Basketball Without Borders back in 2018, and this was played in LA. What are your fondest memories of the players who you played there against or with? Are there any players who have now moved on to the to the NBA, to the NCAA? What do you remember with Basketball Without Borders?
I mean, I have very good memories of it. It was a really great camp. I mean, we got to experience the whole All-Star weekend. Train at the Lakers facility, which is Lakers is my favorite team, so that was so amazing for me. I mean, I made some good friends with like I'm good friends with Luka Samanic, who currently plays for the Spurs. And I also played against Sekou Doumbia, who plays for Detroit Pistons right now and who's playing regular minutes. And also players like Petrusev, who plays for Gonzaga. So it's really an elite camp. I really got to measure myself against some very, very good and talented players. I mean, even there's many coming off the top of my head right now. Killian Hayes is meant to be a top 5 pick. So yeah, it was just amazing. And, I really enjoyed it, and definitely recommend it to anyone who has the opportunity.
Well, these are names that obviously have great careers ahead of them, and probably you will meet again somewhere down the road. As you proceed with your career. And talking about that, with that particular career that you've chosen a pathway uh, through the NCAA in the United States, and you're not playing with the University of Toledo Rockets. How has that been so far? Your experience there, and I know you did not get to play in your sophomore year, but you were a sensation in your rookie year with the Rockets. Any expectations now that you've been redshirted and you have an opportunity to help the team once again next year?
First of all, it was definitely. I feel like it was definitely the right decision for me to go the college route straight out of based on the situation I was in England, and it's turned out very great. Obviously, my freshman year was really fun, and it worked out really well. I mean, I've been blessed. Like, there's a lot of players where the situation doesn't work out great, but for me, it worked out perfectly. I was coming in as a freshman, playing decent minutes, around a great coaching staff who believe in me and who work hard to develop me. And even over this redshirt sophomore year, they've worked hard in making sure I'm going to be ready when I come back. And I'm really looking forward to it. The expectations are probably a little high, but I'm going to make sure that based on how hard I'm working, those expectations will be met.
Well, we're certainly rooting for you. I'm sure many Filipinos have never seen a Toledo Rockets game, but I'm sure many now will be trying to look for it when you start playing for them once again. Inevitably, your career will always be linked with Kai Soto because both of you are not only the top two prospects for Philippine basketball. You are obviously going to be partnered. In some way, you've already done that in the past. Let me first ask you about Kai. What was your first impression about Kai Soto? The first time you saw him, and what do you think about this young man who's even taller than you?
I mean, first time I met him, I was I think 16, and he was like 14 at the time, and I was just amazed at his height. I mean, as a 14-year-old, he was like 6'10" at the time, I think. And I was just amazed. I mean, my first impression though was that he's a very funny guy. He's really great to be really great to be around. He has a confidence that's off the court that you see on the court as well. And obviously a very, very talented player that I'm sure has just scratched the surface of his potential. And we're all very excited. I'm excited as the fans to see what's going to happen in the future.
I hate to compare AJ because you have your own set of skills. You have obviously a very talented game. You've got you're almost a complete package. But it's inevitable that people will compare. So let me ask you, what are the elements of your game that you think is different or different from that of Kai's?
I would say.
I think we lost a little bit na nawala ng konti. Let's see if we can get back si AJ Edu sa ating linya. But so far, napakaganda ng mga sinabi ni AJ. No? Sabi niya nga, sa kanyang sariling palagay, tama po yung kanyang ginawang desisyon na pumasok sa NCAA sa United States. Yun ang kanyang pathway, ika nga, and hopefully it will bring him to his dreams. Of course, nabanggit din niya po yung kanyang ginagawa ngayong paghahanda. He's almost 80% recovered from his injury, and of course the big influence of his family. Yung po kanyang kagulatan kung gaano kalaki ang basketball dito sa Pilipinas at kung bakit pinili niya ang Pilipinas sa halip ng bansa ng kanyang ama o yung bansang kung saan siya lumaki, yung pong England, no. Talaga namang iba ang passion ng Pilipino pagdating sa sports. Mukhang nahihirapan na tayong ibalik. Tingnan natin kung maibabalik pa rin natin si AJ Edu. Samantala, gusto lamang po naming batiin lahat ng mga maagang mga nanonood sa atin. Of course, si Alex Fuentes, si Jimmy Husaini, si Jose Lumbres. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Si Lynn Hontiveros, Charita Perez Reyes, si Ayumi, good morning daw sa Power and Play. Si mahaba nito, Tomistoklis Omandam Tagaan, good morning daw sa Power Play. Gusto ko rin pong batiin ng isang belated happy birthday si Ernest Koo. Mula ang pagbati po mula sa aking kapatid na si Dr. Jovi, isang belated happy birthday kay Ernest Koo. At nais din po natin batiin yung mga nakasama natin ngayon po linggong ito, yung mga TODA presidents ng Antipolo, ng Muntinlupa, ng Valenzuela at ng Malabon. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat dyan. Babatiin natin lahat ng ating mga nakaagapay kanina. Alright, mukhang tuluyan na nating nawala. Sayang at marami pa sana tayong tatanungin kay AJ Edu, yung kanyang ultimate goal, of course, ang kanyang paglalaro sa Gilas. But I'm sure we'll have another opportunity. Ganyan talaga mga kaibigan, pagdating ng live at ang ating tingnan natin. Okay, nakabalik si AJ. Oh, I'm so happy that you're back, AJ. It looks like your camera is just a little bit upside down. All right, that's better. Okay. Let's see if we can fix AJ's signal. Dahil marami pa tayong gusto pag-usapan although tayo ay marami ring magiging panauhin ngayon pong araw na to. Let's see. Mahanap yata lamang ng tamang camera angle si AJ Edu. Ang ating pong kausap, mga kapatid, si AJ Edu, yung Phil Nigerian 6'10 player natin na ngayon ay naglalaro sa NCAA sa Amerika. Yan naman ang kanyang pamamaraan para lalo pang gumaling at maabot ang kanyang pangarap naman makapasok sa NBA, katulad din po ng ating kababayang si Kai Soto. Si AJ Edu po ay Dean's Lister sa University of Toledo. He's taking up business and innovation. Doon po siya. And hindi nga lamang siya nakapaglaro this year dahil sa kanya nakuhang kapansanan. All right, AJ, let me just ask you about your you were talking about the different elements in your game. Obviously that people respect you for that, and from my point of view, I think people should love you just like they love Kai in the way you play, and it's really no use to be comparing your skills at this point, because obviously the two of you will still have a lot to show as your career proceeds. But let me ask you about Kai a little bit more. What is your reaction to the pathway that he has chosen of going through the G League rather than the NCAA?
I mean, obviously, first of all, a huge congratulations to him. I already told him that, but I think it's definitely a very intriguing pathway to take. I think the major advantages is that it's already directly linked with the NBA. So he'll have great access to, like NBA scouts, coaches, and just get a better understanding of the NBA game. So I think it's a very good route for him, and I think it could potentially be very successful.
You've hooked up with the Gilas program. Obviously, you played for the youth team, the Batang Gilas program. You represented the country. And with so many young talent out there, you, Kai, you've got so many third-year Ravenna, a lot of young players, the Liano brothers, the Nieto brothers. There's so many out there that are going to be the core of our national team. What do you see in the future for Gilas? And the big question, obviously, is do you think that we'll ever reach the Olympics?
I think the future is very, very bright. I've played with quite a few of the guys that you mentioned or seen them. And yeah, I think the way that things are going right now, I think it's the right direction. And yeah, I definitely believe we can make the Olympics one day, especially with the talent that we have upcoming. And yeah, I guess we just gotta wait and see. But I definitely believe we can.
As a personal goal and as a parting shot, AJ, what is your ultimate goal for your career?
As it's been since I first picked up basketball, it's to make the NBA. And I believe I'm going in the right direction right now. It's as simple as me just keep working hard, and yeah, I believe it can happen.
Well, we certainly wish you the best, AJ. I know that it's a long, hard road getting back to where you were before the injury, but with your attitude, with your mindset, with your decision to be very, very firm in your workouts, I'm sure that you will be back on the court sooner than later.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, and we wish you well. Stay safe.
All right, thank you. You too.
Toledo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
Yan po mga kaibigan, ang ating pinagmamalaking si AJ Edu, ang isa sa pinakamahusay na prospect para sa Philippine National Team na ngayon naglalaro sa NCAA. Alright, naku, maraming matutuwa pagdating ng panahon. Sipin mo, kay Soto, AJ Edu, nandun magkasama. Ang hirap siguro sumaksak yan at makascore laban sa dalawang yan. Magbe-break po muna kami sa aming pagbabalik. Makakasama natin ang ating Olympic hopeful papuntang Tokyo Olympics next year, EJ Obiena, dito po sa Power and Play. Ang oras po natin, alas 8:31 ng umaga.
Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, ating labanan ng COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama, ay walang problema. Labanan ng COVID, labanan ng COVID, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta sa doh.gov.ph o sundan ang official DOH Facebook page.
Luzon Enhanced Community Quarantine. Mga empleyado sa pribadong sektor. Para sa mga private employee, work from home arrangement at financial assistance mula sa employer. Maaaring magbigay ng prorated 13th month pay ang mga employer. Sa hindi makapagtatrabaho, magbibigay ng social amelioration packages ang DOLE at DSWD. Hindi required pumasok maliban kung ang employee ay kabilang sa nagbibigay ng basic necessities at services. Bawal alisin sa trabaho ang empleyadong hindi nakapasok bunsod ng sitwasyong dulot ng COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Power and Play with Noli Eala.
Muli po nagbabalik ang inyong Sabadong kasama sa almusal at sa paglalaba. Ang Power and Play. Magandang umaga po muli sa inyo. Siya nga pala, kinakamusta lang po natin si Gia Gratos. Siya po ay galing pa sa Queens, New York. Pinapakamusta lang po siya ni paring Romel at ni Nico. Magandang umaga. Good morning to you, Gia. I hope your lockdown here in the Philippines has been worth it. Alright, kinakamusta rin natin ang ating mga kaibigan, lalong-lalo na batch LSGH 1980. Yung ating mga kaibigan dyan, si Rico Meneses, si Doc Bani Mendoza, si Roman Santos, at of course, ang ating mga kaibigan si Rene Baltasar, si Kuya Randy Reyes, si Kuya Algin Del Rosario. Alam niyo po, karamihan sa kanila, mga golfers. Marami sa kanila golfers. At katulad ko, patuloy na nagtatanong, ano ba talaga? Pwede na ba maglaro o hindi? Bago natin na interviewin si EJ, si EJ Obiena, ipapasok ko muna po ang isang pinuno ng National Golf Association of the Philippines. And he may have some of the clarifications to the many questions ng mga naglalaro ng golf dito sa ating bayan. Ang aking pong magiging panauhin ngayon, walang iba kung hindi ang Secretary General ng NGAP, si Mr. Bones Floro. Good morning, Bones!
Good morning, Com Noli. Good morning sa lahat ng followers mo sa Power and Play. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Wala ka ng tan. That means hindi ka na naglalaro din.
Wala na, Com.
Alam mo, Bones, ang daming conflicting news, di ba? May lumabas na pwede na maglaro, pag GCQ na, meron naman nagsabi, meron daw may susunod muna, dapat mag-MGCQ, alright? Meron din mga nagsasabi naman na pinapayagan yung ibang private clubs. So, diretsuhin ko na kagad talaga. Ano pa talaga ang tunay na sitwasyon ng golf? Allowed na ba ang golf under our current quarantine conditions?
Well, as the National Golf Association, syempre ang sinusunod natin kung ano yung official na printed na omnibus guidelines ni IATF. So, andun lang ho tayo, di ba? So, medyo may mga confusion. Alam mo, marami ho kasing tayong mga kapwa golfer na obviously, matagal na 2 months nang nasa bahay, excited maglaro, kailangan na dahil mental and physical health. So naintindihan natin lahat 'yan, pero we still have to abide kung ano yung printed, di ba? So maraming lumalabas, maraming nagko-confirm, di ba? So pero sa ngayon ang official is kasi nung napayagan si golf and some other non-contact sports, napayagan tayo under GCQ. Tapos, following that, syempre, mayroon strict guidelines yan kasi hindi porket sports, hindi ka na pwedeng magkasakit. So, syempre, marami ho tayong guidelines. Tayo sa NGAP, we gave recommendations for all the safety protocols. Since then, naurong siya sa MGCQ. So, on paper. And so, sinusunod natin, pero in the process, medyo some of our other clubs na-confuse na rin.
So let me get this straight, Bones. So basically, nung una na naglabas ang IATF, under GCQ pwede na. Pero nagbago, ginawang MGCQ. So
yes.
At this point, wala pang nasa MGCQ. So ang ibig bang sabihin niyan, bawal pa maglaro ng golf at this time?
Well, supposedly, no? But obviously, may mga announcements, interviews, so and so. Pero in the process, dahil nga nagkakagulo, humingi na tayong tulong sa IATF. So the official statement and guidelines will be supposed to be released today.
Oh, okay.
Today, anytime today, hopefully.
Magkakaalaman today kung ano magiging official na patakaran para sa pagpapasimula ng golf. But
correct.
From the perspective of the NGAP, and assuming that golf will be returning very soon. In fact, in the US, I think only a few states are left na hindi pinapayagan ng golf. No? So, from the perspective ng NGAP, how do you see golf restarting, and what are the new norms new normal guidelines na ilalabas ng NGAP?
Welcome. Alam mo, si golf, aside from being a totally wonderful sport, is from day one, naka-implement na si social distancing eh. Di ba? Since it was created. Tapos, no offense to other sports, no, which I also play, but si golf kasi is played over a 50-hectare field of play. So medyo malaki nga naman. Hindi lang yun, outdoor pa siya, nasa ilalim ng araw. So very conducive siya sa safety protocols, in other words, no. So obviously, syempre before COVID, medyo nga it's free up and about, pero now we have to practice some stricter measures, such as when you enter the facility, while you're there, tapos while you're playing, tapos alam mo naman, golf is such a what do you call that, social sport na people shake hands, hold the pin, and hold all these things. So we have to forego all those things. Di ba, marami namang study sa the world over, and we have all been implementing it na already. Actually,
okay.
Naka-train na naman lahat ng mga staff.
Let me ask you a little bit about the specifics of those new norms. Alam natin yan, may mga nakikita na tayong announcement na pagdating mo doon, kailangan nakabihis ka na, wala nang palit-palit, even yung mga pag-book ng tea time, dapat yan in advance, etc. etc. Yung pagsimula ng laro, malalaki ang gaps, no? But let me first ask you about masks. Kailangan ba talagang naka-mask ang mga golfers? Kasi ang tanong ng mga naglalaro, paano daw yung sunburn nila? Magiging bang parang square yung mukha nila dito na merong mask? Halatang-halata na lumabas eh.
Hindi lang yun, ko. May aside from yung mask, yung mga mahilig mag-sunglasses, doble na kagad yung tan line nila. But yes, that's one of the stricter guidelines, no? Stricter measures na you must wear a mask. We have to comply with our DOH regulation. Siyempre, that's one of the basic things, di ba? Sa bahay mo nga, hindi ka pwedeng lumabas na walang mask. So, even outdoors, we should comply. Diba? Okay. Admittedly so, mahirap nga naman.
Okay. Let me ask you about caddy. Ano ba ang rules on the caddy? Sa paggamit ng caddy? Kasi alam naman natin, ang caddy, napakalaking bagay yan. Tumutulong sa atin sa pagbigay ng clubs o paghanap ng bola. Ano ngayon ang bagong rules ng caddy, Bones?
Well, alam mo, Kom, kasi specifically sa Southeast Asia, not only the Philippines, napaka-spoiled tayong mga golfer. Lahat may caddy. Hindi katulad sa Western world, Europe, America, wala mga caddy yung mga yan. Wala eh. So, but syempre, we have to respect, and we have to think of our brothers and sisters that caddy for us. Hanap buhay yan, mga breadwinner yan. So, we also have to provide a working environment, a safe working environment. At the same time is, siyempre, protektado lahat. Kasi anyone can get it eh. So, hindi lang naman player gets from caddy. Hindi, it's both ways eh. So, ang nirecommend natin sa mga club is to assign 4 caddies instead. So, what does that mean? Sila they don't handle your equipment. Meaning, hindi nila hinahawakan golf set mo, hindi nila hinahawakan golf cart, hindi nila hinahawakan bola, gloves, gano'n. So, lahat sila, naanguna, they're there to care for the course. Kasi kung, alam mo, putting it bluntly, ang trabaho ng golfer, sirain yung golf course eh, di ba? So, exactly, di ba? Divot, lahat, bunker, all these things, di ba? Trabaho ng golfer, sirain ng golf course eh. Tapos trabaho ni caddy na to pick up after their player, di ba? So their main function would be there, di ba? So, win-win siya. Admittedly so, syempre, si golfer medyo may konting sariling sikap from now on until such time na it becomes normal again, hopefully sooner than later. Pero gano'n ang mangyayari dapat.
Sabi nga nila, ngayon, kailangan medyo mas kondisyon ka. Kasi ikaw na magdadala ng bag mo kung walang golf cart. At ikaw na rin ang mag-ahawak ng mga clubs mo. I don't want to belabor the point about the new rules because I'm sure the NGAP will be releasing a lot of these rules for the play, no? Yung play mismo. Like, ang balita natin, yung butas ay bababawan at pag tumama yung bola mo, ano ba yun? Considered na pasok na yung bola? Ganun ba? Pag tumama sa loob ng butas. Kasi minsan, alam natin Bones, no? Minsan, dun sa regular golf ngayon, pag tumama yung bola at lumabas, hindi pa rin pasok yun eh. Pero ano ba? Nagbago ba ang rules ngayon?
Well, binigyan tayo ng authority ng RNA, no? The Royal Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews. Sila yung world governing body. So, they make the rules for golf. Binigyan nila tayong authority to create local rules in the midst of COVID time, di ba? So that's one of them, na yung raising the cup, sa pag tumama yung bola mo doon, good as hold na siya. So napasok na, in other words. Meron din ibang golf course that are opting to put foam noodles inside the hole para hindi malaglag yung bola todo-todo, and there's a higher protection for people against contamination, no? Touching the pin, all these things. So marami namang measures. There are several options. And siguro you've seen on social media yung gadget na inaakat yung sinusungkit yung bola out of the hole. So meron din mga ganyan. Yeah, so during the lockdown, people have gotten creative, di ba? So those are several options.
Ito ang very sensitive question at marami nagtatanong sa akin tungkol dito, Bones. This is about the rule on seniors. Alam naman natin, ang golf is a game that is played from young to old. Lalong-lalo na yung mga matatanda. Itong golf, tamang-tama sa kanila. Yung mga nagre-retiro, alam naman natin yan, umuwi dito, o di kaya mga naririto na tumatanda na naglaro ng golf. In fact, sabi nga ng kapatid ko, 60 to 70% of some clubs have senior members na ngayon, dahil sa ating IATF guidelines, hindi pwedeng lumabas. Now, what is the rule na pinopropose ng NGAP? Pwede bang paglaruin ang mga seniors sa golf course? Ano ba ang position dito ng NGAP at ano ba ang reaction ng IATF?
Well, just to clarify, when we first made the appeal sometime in April, there was no age restriction. Ang appeal namin is golfer, di ba? Spanning all ages. We don't discriminate, we don't classify, nothing like that. Basta golfer. You want to play golf, you want to play golf. So yun ang inappeal namin yan. But nung after all the appeals and presentations and discussions, syempre, maraming salamat at napayagan along with some other sports, pero nung nakita natin yung omnibus code ng GCQ, meron siyang age restriction which encompasses everything, di ba? Whatever was allowed beneath that, meron siyang blanket rules. Nung nakita natin yan na sandali, 20 and below and 60 and above, hindi pwedeng lumabas ng kanilang mga tahanan. So, that governed it. Bigla na lang, sandali, nung nakita natin, paano yung mga golfer, di ba? So, that's when maraming na hindi nagustuhan. Admittedly so naman, di ba? Kasi in fact, alam mo ako, isang linggo na ako minumura ng tatay ko eh. Pinapatay ko daw siya eh.
So hindi talaga pwede, hindi pa rin pwede. Ganun ang positioning natin.
Well, we're hoping that that's part of the announcement today.
So you're working on that. Ayan,
yes, we have been.
To the many seniors. All right.
And actually, if I may add, the IATF is very, very receptive naman. They understand all these things. It's just that, syempre, they have the entire country to worry about and the entire Filipino people, di ba? So tayo naintindihan naman nila eh. And thank you for that.
And obviously, golf is, hindi natin pwede sabihin naman na napakahalaga nito sa lahat ng tao. But again, it's part of the game that a lot of people also play. So, kaya natin natatanong. Let me just ask you before I let you go, kamusta ang NGAP? Do you think that this situation has impacted your grassroots program? And of course, our elite athletes like Yuka Saso, has this impacted the NGAP's golf program for the country?
Well, definitely, no? It's a big hit to us kasi most if not all, our elite athletes are 20 and below. Diba? So currently, they're unable to train outside, but thankfully they have some little facilities within their homes, diba? May kanya-kanyang golf hitting mat, may net, everyone's trying to make do with what they have. And then monitor naman sila ng national team coach natin. But unfortunately, yung mga heavy grassroots programs natin, which we are heavy in Mindanao, we have in Del Monte and in Apo Golf in Davao. So medyo natigil, siyempre, but we're hoping to restart now once it's allowable there already. Diba? Right. And not to mention, canceled worldwide, lahat ng events, worldwide. Not only our local.
Alam ko lang, the only thing that will happen is tomorrow, yung the match ni Tiger Woods at ni Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So yan, papanoorin natin. At least meron tayo makikita magandang golf bukas.
Yeah,
Bones,
Paul,
maraming salamat sa oras mo. Ha? Thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of people are encouraged at the very least, optimistic that muling makakalaro tayo ng golf sa...
Malapit na yan ko, malapit na. We're hoping today ma-announce.
Thank you so much, and we will wait for that announcement today. All right, mga
Thank
kaibigan.
you, thank you.
Maraming salamat, Bones. Yan po ang ating kaibigan, si Bones Loro, Secretary General ng NGAP. Ako, talagang maraming nag-aabang dyan. At pinag-uusapan ng inaabangan, well, ito na po, ang ating interview sa ating Olympic hopeful, yung ating pole vaulter na dapat maglalaro sa Tokyo Olympics. Pero dahil sa cancellation ng Tokyo for next year, naantala din ang kanyang mga plano. We had a chat with him 2 nights ago. Ito po, si EJ Obiena. Kasama po natin ngayon, walang iba kung hindi ang ating Olympic-bound athlete, si Ernest John EJ Obiena. Born Pomerigio. Una serata po. Okay naman po. Mabuti naman. Pero, alam mo, nung huli ka namin nakita, of course, was during the Southeast Asian Games. Personally, I saw you on TV at least when nakuha mo yung record. Nung tayo nagkausap last year, of course, yung mga plano mo to make it to the Olympics. Ngayon, narito na, nakapasa mo na sa Olympics. Mo sa Tokyo Olympics. Yung Forgia, Italy. Yes. And alam natin, ang Italy was the center of the coronavirus in Europe. Napakaraming namatay dyan. Nakatakot ba? Anong naramdaman mo, EJ? Doon sa recording natin 2 nights ago. Pero tingnan natin kung maayos natin yung recording. Maybe advance natin ng konti. Sasabihin natin ang ating mga producer dito si Gab na bigyan ng konting pagkakataong baka meron lang nagkaroon ng konting problema doon sa recording at delay. Alright, pero nakausap po natin si EJ Obiena. He is still in Formia, Italy. Doon po sa Italia siya nagtitraining. At siya po ay patuloy na naghahanda. Sabi nga niya, alam naman natin ang Italy was the hardest hit. It was the epicenter ng pandemya sa Europe. At mukhang kahit papano nagawa ng paraan ni EJ na makapag-training. Balikan natin ulit ang ating interview. Tingnan natin kung maayos na with EJ Obiena. Okay, mukhang hindi pa rin daw maayos at hindi maganda. Sayang. Alam niyo po kaya natin ni-record si EJ kasi 6 hours behind ang Italy. Kaya medyo mahirap sa kanila mag-live dahil kung ganun po mangyari, halos alas 2 pa lamang ng umaga doon o mag-alas 3 pa lamang sa Italia. But again, si EJ po ay he's training under a renowned coach. Ang pangalan po niya si Vitaly Petrov na nag-coach kay Sergey Bubka, yung world champion ng pole vault. And sa ating interview with him, and sana po marinig natin yan, he described how nag-improve siya and he's hoping that he can improve a little bit more on his skills. He described the skills that kailangan niyang ayusin pa para maabot ang particular benchmark para sa maging competitive siya sa Tokyo Olympics. Right now, ang kanyang pinakamagandang lundag, I believe, is parang nasa 5.81. Yun yung Olympic standard. Kaya siya nakapasok sa Tokyo Olympics. But he is looking forward to a higher jump by the time the Olympics come next year. All right, we will try to see kung ating pong mababalikan yung ating interview with EJ. But in the meantime, tayo po ay magbe-break sa ating palatuntunan in all our platforms, sa Radyo Singko, sa 1PH, and of course, dito po sa Facebook Live at YouTube channel. We'll be back with Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at Cherry Loom.
Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ng COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama, ay walang problema. Labanan ng COVID, labanan ng COVID, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta sa doh.gov.ph o sundan ang official DOH Facebook page.
Ang nanay ko, doktor.
Si tatay ay nagtatrabaho bilang pulis.
Ang ina ko ay sa home pharmacist. Akong amay, usa ka nurse.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Araw-araw nilang nilalagay ang kanilang buhay sa peligro. Sa ngalan ng serbisyo, hindi lang para sa mga mahal nila sa buhay, kundi para sa ating lahat. Kaya't sa ating mga Filipino frontliners, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Lahat kami ay saludo at sumusuporta sa inyo.
Hatid sa inyo ng PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Sino lamang ang maaaring lumabas ng bahay? Isang tao, kada sambahayan lang ang pwedeng lumabas ng bahay upang kumuha o bumili ng pangangailangan. Mga empleyadong nagtatrabaho sa mga supermarket, groceries, palengke, convenience stores, drugstores or pharmacies, at bank or remittance centers. Miyembro ng PNP, AFP, at iba pang mga uniformed personnel. Bawal lumabas sa mga senior citizen, buntis, at may health condition tulad ng sakit sa puso, hypertension, diabetes, COPD, cancer, at iba pa. Para sa karamihan at publiko, manatili sa bahay at huwag munang lumabas hanggat maaari. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
COVID-19, reminders from DOH, tamang paghugas ng kamay. Ang simpleng paghuhugas ng kamay ay mabisang paraan upang makaiwas sa anumang sakit. Makakatulong rin ito sa pagpigil ng pagkalat ng mga viruses kung wasto at regular itong gagawin. Basain ng tubig ang kamay at magsabon. Sabunin ang mga palad at likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin ang mga pagitan ng daliri, kuko at pagitan ng mga hinlalaki. Kuskusin rin ang mga tulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad sa paikot na paraan. Gawin ito sa loob ng 20 segundos bago banlawang mabuti gamit ang malinis na tubig at tuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel.
Basta't laging handa at sama-sama, kaya natin to. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Luzon Enhanced Community Quarantine. Mga empleyado sa pribadong sektor. Para sa mga private employee, work from home arrangement at financial assistance mula sa employer. Maaaring magbigay ng prorated 13th month pay ang mga employer. Sa hindi makapagtatrabaho, magbibigay ng social amelioration packages ang DOLE at DSWD. Hindi required pumasok maliban kung ang employee ay kabilang sa nagbibigay ng basic necessities at services. Bawal alisin sa trabaho ang empleyadong hindi nakapasok bunsod ng sitwasyong dulot ng COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Sa patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19, narito ang ilang impormasyon tungkol sa social distancing. Sa community quarantine, nililimitahan ang paggalaw ng mga tao. Ganito rin ang sitwasyon sa sektor ng transportasyon, subalit patuloy ang biyahe ng cargo at delivery. Ipinagbabawal naman ang pagtitipon-tipon sa isang lugar. Suspendido rin ang klase at ibang aktibidad sa loob ng isang buwan. Ipinapatupad din ang flexible working hours sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at hinihimok din ang mga pribadong kumpanya na gawin din ito. Sa panahong ito, hinihikayat ang lahat na panatilihin ang layong 1 metro o 1 dipa mula sa mga tao sa inyong paligid. Labanan ng virus. Pigilan ang pagkalat. Puksain ang COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
COVID-19, reminders from DOH. Tamang pag-ubo. Ang mga airborne viruses tulad ng COVID-19 ay kumakalat sa pamamagitan ng pagbahing o pag-ubo. Para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng mga virus na nagdudulot ng iba't ibang sakit, takpan ng buong bibig at ilong gamit ang panyo o tissue. O gamitin ang manggas o loob ng siko kung uubo o babahing. Lumayo sa mga tao kung ikaw ay uubo o babahing. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan. Labhang maigi ang gamit na panyo at itapon sa basurahan ang mga nagamit na tissue. Ugaliin ang wastong paghuhugas ng kamay o paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer.
Basta't laging handa at sama-sama, kaya natin to. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Transmitting live from our brand new studios at TV5 Media Center and Reliance Mandaluyong. By land, by sea, and on air. Mula sa pinakabaksyong newsroom sa buong bansa. 25,000 watts. Radyo Singko, 92.3 News FM. Iwanan mo na ang lumang tunog ng AM.
Power and Play with Noli Eala.
Alright, nagbabalik po ang ating pangalawang oras dito sa ating palatuntunang Power and Play. Bago po tayo magpatuloy, again, our apologies dun sa interview ni EJ Obiena. Well, nagkaroon po lang ng konting problema sa ating signal dun from our recorder at playback patungo sa ating show to this morning. Kaya susubukan po natin yan na ipalabas hopefully sa susunod na Sabado. At aayusin po natin ang ating interview with EJ Obiena. At this point, gusto ko lamang pong kamustahin lahat ng ating mga nakasama. This past week, medyo ang dami po nating mga nakausap. At gusto ko lang po silang batiin, lalong-lalo na po si Attorney Cedric Capiral ng Antipolo City. Kasama rin po kanilang butihing mayor, si Mayor Andeng Bautista Inares at si Mayor Junjun Inares. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Gusto ko rin po kamustahin mula naman sa Muntinlupa si Konsehal Alan Capilon at ang kanilang hepe po ng MTNB si Hepe Don Nicolas at ang hepe po ng TRU si Sir Willie Gomez. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat dyan sa Muntinlupa City. And of course, mula naman sa Valenzuela, kinakamusta po natin si Konsehal Joseph Gogo at si Sir J. Valenzuela ng Valenzuela City. Mula sa Malabon, si Konsehala Nadia Vicencio. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, ma'am. And of course, ang kanyang Executive Director ng Hataw Padjak, si Marlon Feliciano. Good morning to all of you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-suporta sa mga programa na ating babanggitin maya-maya. Gusto rin pong kamustahin lahat po ng mga nakikinig sa atin at nanonood sa pamamagitan ng Facebook. I hope you stay tuned. Tuloy-tuloy lang po tayo. We will have a lot more interviews coming up. By the way, yung ating tinanong na pupulsuhan ngayong araw pong ito, yung sino ba ang inyong pinaka-namimiss na mga atleta ngayon pong panahon ng quarantine? Well, magbasa lang tayo ng konti dito mga komentaryo. Sabi ni, sino ba to? Good morning, Noli, pa-shoutout po sa Catolos and Gonzales family. Diyan po sa Anahaw, sa Quezon City. Nakikinig po silang lahat sa Power and Play. Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng ating mga kasama sa Catolos and Gonzales family. Good morning din po. Shoutout po. Ito pala mula kay Rolando Esmenda ng Cubao, Quezon City. Meron din dito, isa po akong nakikinig sa inyong programa, Gina Guerra mula sa San Isidro, Tubod, Surigao del Norte. Naku, pagkalayo-layo. Magandang umaga po sa inyo dyan sa Surigao. Sana po ay maayos. Alam ko dyan sa area niyan, medyo hindi masyadong maraming problema sa ating pandemya. Good morning din po. Watching here from Bohol mula kay Julius Butkon. Good morning sa inyo dyan sa Bohol. Ang ating kaibigan si dating Mayor Dan Lim ng Tagbilaran dyan po sa Bohol. Magandang umaga po. Ang atleta na namimiss ko po at gusto kong makita at lumaban ay si John Riel Casimiro. Oh yes, ang ating boksingero. Gusto ko pong makita kung paano na niya tatalunin si Inoue ng Japan mula kay Jonathan Asejo ng Sorsogon City. Ayan ha, si John Riel Casimiro, ang ating champion boxer. Ang napili ko po ay si Junmar Fajardo at L.A. Tenorio mula sa Celestino Menses of Panabo City. Abay, si Junmar nagpapahinga pero mabutit walang basketball. So kahit papaano wala siya nami-miss, no? Sana nga makabalik agad din. Of course, si L.A. Tenorio lagi namang kondisyon yan. Kaya siguro makikita natin kagad yan. Gab? Hold on ha, medyo nagkaroon tayo ng konti problema. Ha? Alright, tuloy-tuloy po tayo. Gusto ko rin pong batiin ang lahat ng mga nakikinig sa Zamboanga City at si Christopher De Los Santos. Happy birthday daw sa kanyang mabait na kliyente si Mr. Eric Fabian. Sorry po ha, medyo ang dami nating kailangang basahin ha? Mukhang napatawag pa sa akin pati yung producer natin. Ito po, I truly miss my favorite teams, LA Lakers and Barangay Ginebra. Ang pambansang team, sabi ni Dexter Santos. Si CJ Perez naman ang namimiss ko na yung presence niya sa Gilas at sa PBA. Anonymous hindi nagpakilala. Ang gusto kong makita naman na maglaro ay si Ate Eliza Valdez. I miss you, Ate Valdez, from Dinagat Island, si Romar Martinez. Last week kasama natin si Eliza Valdez dito sa ating programa. Marami pa po na nagpapabati sa atin sa ating Facebook. Si Rodelyn Lopez. Good morning, Com. Always listening to Radyo Singko. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Ang alumni ng Trinity University of Asia. Kamusta po kayong lahat dyan? Thank you for watching our show. And of course, Juana Tabo-Tabo from Zamboanga City. At si, sino ba to? Anrio Waru. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ang dami nating mga nakikinig. Si June Campos mula sa Singapore. Magandang umaga sa iyo, paring June. And happy fiesta sa Antipolo, Our Lady of Peace and Good Voyage. Ako, happy fiesta po. Lalo-lalo na, gaya na nabanggit natin kanina dyan, lahat ng mga TODA presidents ng Antipolo City. Alright, at this point, medyo magpasalamat tayo sa mga bumubuo naman ng ating palatuntunan ng ating mga sponsors na patuloy na umaagapay at tumutulong, sumusuporta sa Power and Play. Of course, Big Boss Cement, Big Boss Atibay, marami pong salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz at sa buong staff ng Big Boss Cement. Talaga namang napakalaking tulong hindi lamang sa Power and Play kundi sa mundo ng palakasan. Ako, ang daming sinusuporta ni Engineer Gilbert Cruz. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum, maraming salamat kay paring Elmer Ngo. Cherry Loom, kung kailangan nyo po ng matibay na bubong, yero, nako, Cherry Loom lamang po ang yerong may aluminum. Elms Kapihan and Bar, ang kanilang roasted garlic chicken, chicharon bulaklak. Sabi nga ng Elms Kapihan, stay home and grab the phone to order your favorite dishes. You can also find us at Food Panda. Simply key in Elms Kapihan and Bar to enjoy our food. Ang numbers po nila 8240-2032 or di kaya 0956-7804782. Alright? Sila po ang home of fried itik. Napakasarap. Elms Kapihan and Bar. Diyan po sa Commonwealth, sa Poblacion, and sa Brixton Street sa Makati. Joyride, ang bago nyo pong kasundo. Ang Joyride po ngayon naghahatid na ng delivery service at pabili service. Hindi nyo na po kailangan lumabas ng bahay. Tumawag lamang, mag-download ng aming app sa Joyride Philippines at Happy Move Philippines. And then, ready na po. Pwede na maghatid sa mga iba't ibang merchant partners ng Joyride ang Happy Move. Again, download our app sa Joyride at sa Happy Move. Nais din po namin magpasalamat sa Skin, or rather sa MP School of, yung Makilaj Professional School of Makeup artistry. Maraming salamat ang ating official hair and makeup, ang Maquillage Professional. And of course, sa skin, Face and Body Anti-Aging Center. Have any skin concerns? Skin now has online consultation from Mondays to Saturdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Yan po ang kanilang number. Mag-text lamang ng mga detalye para sa inyong mga skin concerns sa 0917-890-1640. We can also accept orders for your needed skin care products. Payment strictly through the bank deposit and delivered via Joyride. Yan po, skin ni Dr. G. Sarmiento sa Alabang Town Center and of course sa Wilson Street sa San Juan, Metro Manila. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating mga tagapagtaguyod, mga sponsors na patuloy na naghahatid sa inyo ng power and play. Alright, at this point mga kaibigan, alam niyo po, pinag-uusapan natin yung pagbabalik ng sports muli sa ating kapaligiran, no? In our environment. And sa likod po nitong ating nararamdamang pandemic na coronavirus, well, ang Philippine Sports Commission po ay patuloy na gumagawa ng programa para po maayos ang paghahanda at pagbabalik ng larangan ng sports. And right now, mga kaibigan, makakausap natin walang iba kundi ang National Training Director ng Philippine Sports Commission and the Philippine Sports Institute. Walang iba kundi si Mr. Mark Velasco. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Noli. Good morning sa lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood dito sa Radyo 5 Power and Play. Good morning po.
Thank you very much for taking our call and napakaaga pero alam kong laging nandyan, lalong-lalo na si Chairman Books Ramirez. Alam mo, I wanted to talk to you about itong nilabas ninyo na framework tool for reintroducing sports in a COVID-19 environment. No? Naglabas kayo recently and this is like a guide para sa mga NSAs para kung paano nila muling masisimulan ang paglalaro ng kanilang respective sports. Now, let me just ask you first, ano naging paraan ninyo dito, Mark? How did you come up with this? And what was the rationale behind coming up with the framework tool?
Well, of course, through the direction of Chairman Ramirez, we anticipated that once the restrictions mag-ease off, especially coming up from ECQ, people might want to come back and engage into sport kasi right now we're in a health crisis and everybody would have a mindset of being more health conscious. And with the PSC's in partnership with the NSA, we were also expecting how our athletes, our national athletes, would be able to go back to training. So, with the help of our sports doctors and other professionals, we come up with this tool framework. Of course, we did also our research. We have also compared our framework with sa ibang bansa, US, Australia, even some of our references was coming from those countries and other sports institutions. So at the moment, we are still collecting data also from our partner NSAs. Most of them already have submitted. And we provided this framework for them to be able to guide them and to also para maging aligned tayo on how we can introduce the sport into COVID environment.
So itong framework tool na to, Mark, was done still in consultation with the NSAs?
Yes, especially when it comes to sports-specific activities, we actually ask the NSA to be involved in coming up with the tool.
Anong idea dito? Will this be recommended to the IATF as well? Will this be adopted by the IATF sa kanilang mga guidelines? Will this be mandatory sa mga NSAs and the different sports? Do they have to submit anything to the PSC because of this?
Yes, itong version na to was actually submitted to the Department of Health. We coordinated with the Department of Health. What we did in this version was more of a community guide on how to do physical activity, on how to do different sports. So if you look at one of the tables there, we compartmentalize those 5 tables into 5 levels, from ECQ to the new normal. And then we put our recommended activities. So out
Okay.
of that 5 level, isa lang po yung merong multiple person-to-person interaction, which is the new normal. So we are at the moment, sa guidelines, in the level of community level classification we have, talagang pinagbabawal pa yung person-to-person interaction.
Okay. Let's be very specific. Puntahan natin ang basketball because obviously yan ang pinaka-popular na sport dito. At marami nagtatanong, pwede ba kami maglaro? Ano ba dapat gawin? No? So, sa larangan ng basketball, Mark, one of the guidelines that you've released is, yun nga, binreak down nyo to, no? Depending on the status ng quarantine in a particular area. So, can you just give us a little bit of a very brief outlook ng step-by-step framework para makapagsimula muli ang basketball?
Well, obviously, if we look at, we start off from the MECQ or the ECQ. Sa ECQ, we wrote there no person-to-person interaction with your own equipment. And then, in your own outdoor space. So if you want to play basketball, if you have a basketball in your own garage, you can play basketball. If you have a person with you in the house na magkasama naman kayo in one roof, you can play 1-on-1, 2-on-2. Doon sa MCQ, nakalagay doon, our recommended activity was no person-to-person, again, interaction, own equipment, meaning sariling basketball court, and you can do it outdoor. If you have sa labas ng garahe mo or even in front of your gate, maglabas ka ng basketball ring, maglaro ka on your own, we can recommend you doing that. May kulatilya dyan. We said that if it does not violate yung barangay rules ninyo or yung barangay guidelines, okay yan. But if that violates your barangay rules, of course, yung paglalaro mo ng basketball, even if we recommended na pwede ka na mag-basketball sa labas ng bahay mo, sa harap ng bahay mo, hindi po yung reason para mag-violate. So, going to the GCQ, if mag-open or yung barangay mo mag-open ang basketball court for or even the subdivision mag-open yung basketball court for them to use, you can play basketball given that you use your own equipment and you do not interact with somebody using the basketball ring sa kabilang side. So yun yung recommended activities namin sa GCQ. Sa MGCQ naman, sinasabi natin no person-to-person interaction with public equipment and with yung public indoor or outdoor facility. And then merong, and you can also use public basketball. Kung if they provide a basketball, provided that they would also maintain yung minimum health standard. So they can clean up the basketball. And yung pagdating na sa new normal or sa when there is a vaccine, which is what we call it, that's the time we can reintroduce yung multiple interaction. We can do 1-on-1 with our friend or 2-on-2, 3-on-3. So yun na po yung...
In other words, sa basketball, only during the new normal, under this framework, pwede maglaro ng actual game. That's the way you're saying.
Yes, yun na po yung recommended namin na activity. Only
In the
during
framework, is there any discussion about the possibility of the need for testing? Meron bang ganong klase sa framework na binibigay ninyo?
Well, that's one option. Of course, we still have to follow yung direction ng DOH wherein yung testing should be recommended by them, no, if they allow it. But I guess right now, even the private companies, they start their own rapid testing. So this time that can be done if it's possible. Of course, we're looking at the community sense, no. If this is a PBA game, then I think the board or governors or the PBA itself can work with the DOH or IATF in how they can do about with their games. They can have a special arrangement for that. They can have their own tests. We've seen example of this in Korea, wherein they beginning to start small games of football games. Wala nga lang audience. Even in Germany, some football games are already being started wherein they do tests with the athletes, test with the officials. So they can have their own arrangement, yung mga professional leagues. Kami naman, we just recommend, but if that is allowed by the DOH and IATF, which is eventually they're the decision makers, then I don't see any reason why they cannot do that.
Okay, just one final question. Is this framework a continuing work? It's evolving. Ito ba is subject to review? And does this cover all of the even elite athletes? Ito dapat na guidance?
Well, yes, this is just like the IATF guidelines, nagbabago po. So we have to adapt kung ano yung guidelines ng IATF and we have to adjust. Obviously, when it comes to per sports, we recommend, we ask the NSAs to give their inputs on this guidelines. So nagbibigay, some of them are about 30 NSA already gave us their guidelines. So we'll be adapting that in the next version of the framework.
Okay, and in other sports, paano nila makukuha ito? Are you sending all of this? And like if I play, for instance, volleyball or lalaro ako, let's say, ng tennis, can I see this? Namin mahanap ito?
Yes, actually, for example, if you play tennis, we ask the association, or if you play volleyball, we ask the volleyball association to provide us with their recommendations of activities based on their sport. Actually included then there is how they would deal with the equipment and how would they deal with the venue as well as the audience. So they will provide us with those parameters. So we will be working closely with the NSA regarding that.
May mga nagtatanong sa akin kasi dito, Mark, na nabanggit natin yung basketball. What about volleyball daw? At saka itong mga non-contact sports, kasama rin ba daw yun sa framework? And if then, kung meron ka na bang specific for, let's say, volleyball, meron din bang breakdown from each status ng quarantine?
Yes. Right now, we are working with the volleyball associations yung nag-submit sa amin, and we will go back and forth with our doctors and the volleyball officials kasi sila lang mas may alam sa sports. And we are actually currently working with them on that, with their framework kasi we want as much as possible that it would not compromise yung health ng community. So we'll be introducing that framework for them.
Ano daw ang recommendation niyo with respect to swimming? Pwede na ba daw lumangoy sa mga swimming pool under GCQ?
Right now, this is the statement released by USA Swimming. They provided guidelines on how you can do about swimming in a COVID environment. And I think our swimming association in the Philippines, they also is adopting a similar framework. CDC recently came out with a statement saying that yung contact sa transmission sa water has not been conclusive, but if the community or the government opens swimming pool, they still recommend social distancing between swimmers, so they limit swimmers in one lane, like one swimmer per lane lang. And then they do not recommend using the shower. It's recommended to go in and get out immediately. So after you go in, you do your workout, and then you get off the water and then get off the facility. So that's how USA Swimming recommends if your government would allow swimming.
All right. Ito, Mark, is there any guidance under the framework tool na in the event magkaroon ng positive case during a particular in a sport, no? Na muling magsha-shutdown yung sport?
Definitely, once na IATF or DOH determines that there has been transmission on a specific area, specific group, I think they are compelled to shut it down. So definitely, that's why this framework is important, to look at all the angles para we can cover everything and not be the source of transmission for our community.
Okay. Well, aabangan natin yan, and obviously maraming magbabasa niyan, and hopefully this will really be a way for many of the NSAs, many of the sporting activities na makapagpasimula muli. At least meron silang pinagbabasihan, and there's a chance that they can already prepare and they can already make sure na we meet the minimum health standards na nire-require ng ating IATF. Maraming salamat, Mark, for your time this morning.
Maraming salamat, Noli. Maraming salamat po sa lahat.
Alright. Yan po mga kaibigan, ang National Training Director ng Philippine Sports Commission and of course, the head ng Philippine Sports Institute, si Mr. Mark Velasco. Alright mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy po tayo. Right now, I think we will, do we need to take a break? Mukhang meron tayong a few more commercials before we proceed. In a short while, mga kaibigan, alam niyo ba kanina nasabi natin na nangangamusta tayo ng mga atleta. Pero nauuso din sa panahon na to yung balik-tanaw. Yung balik-tanaw po. At yung pagbabalik tanaw, isa dyan sa pinakamalaking event na nangyari ngayon ay yung panonood ng The Last Dance. Alam niyo ba yon? Yung kwento ng Chicago Bulls, yung glorious run nila in the 90s na pinangunahan ni Michael Jordan. Well, alam niyo po, ito kwento lamang noong pong panahon ng dekada 80, noong 1987, ang PBA, lalo lang na after the EDSA Revolution, medyo tumagilid. Marami pong mga kupunan na nag-withdraw. Katulad po nung panahon na yon, yung Manila Beer in 87, nag-withdraw. In 1988, at umalis naman ang Tanduay. Bumaba po sa 6 na kupunan ang PBA noong 1987. And talaga pong medyo nagimbal sa kanilang struktura ang ating professional league nung taon na yon. But in 1988, nagkaroon po ng resurrection na talaga pong dumami ang mga nanonood, ang mga fans na bumalik dahil hindi lamang nagkaroon ng bagong koponan. Yung po yung Pure Foods basketball team na nung panahon na yun ay pagmay-may-ari ng Ayala Corporation. Pero dahil din po nagpasok sila ng 3 super rookies. Ika nga, 3 pong sumagip sa PBA dahil sa kanilang popularidad and of course sa kanilang galing, kanilang sa paglaro ng basketball. Yan po ang ating itatampok sa ating susunod na mga panauhin. The Big Three, the original Big Three ng Pure Foods hot dogs noong pong dekada 80, walang iba kundi si Alvin Patrimonio, si Jojo Lastimosa, at si Jerry Codiñera. Magandang umaga, gentlemen.
Good morning, Noli.
Good morning, Jojo. Good morning, Cap. Good morning,
Com.
Jerry.
Kamusta po kayo? Pakita nga ng buhok mo kung puro puti ba o itim.
Good morning, Com.
Ayun.
Morning, Joe. Morning, Bin.
Morning, Jerry, Alvin.
Book ba pag-uusapan natin?
Bagay sa'yo, wag mo itago.
Joe, ngayon lang kita nakita, long hair, Joe,
Usapan din dito, yung TikTok ni Alvin Si Alvin, nakikita ko na lang sa TikTok Totoo ba, Alvin yan?
Yes, Com. Inano ko ng daughter ko.
Oo. Kailangan si Jojo, makita ko rin sumasayaw ng TikTok yan.
Meron na. May nirelease na ako siguro mga a month ago. Pero private lang.
Private, Kailangan makita namin ni Jerry yan. Ikaw, Jerry, ano pinagkakabalaan mo ngayong lockdown?
Walang video. Walang ano.
Jerry? Hello, Jerry?
Walang audio. Hindi ko naririnig.
I can hear you, Jay.
Okay,
naririnig ka namin, Jerry. Naririnig ka namin. Can you hear me? Jerry, naririnig mo ba ako? Subukan natin, Mama. Gab, can you just
Walang audio kay Com Noli.
Mukhang hindi tayo naririnig ni Jerry. Ulitin natin. But, Alvin, Joe, obviously ngayon ang pinag-uusapan ngayon, yung balik-tanaw. No, alam natin yan. I'm sure you've seen yung The Last Dance ni Michael Jordan, and kagaya nga sinasabi ko kanina, one of the most significant years was 1988. Dahil nung panahon na yun, ang PBA, sabi ko, we came from a smaller league, 6 na lamang na team, biglang pumasok. Jerry, can you hear me now? Narinig ko na ba kami? Mukhang hindi pa tayo naririnig, Jerry. Jerry? Jerry? We'll try to fix his communication. But going back to my thought there, Alvin at saka Jo, it's been a long time since 1988 that you were rookies. Alam natin, pumasok ang Pure Foods as a expansion team nung panahon na yon, star-studded with the three of you leading the lineup, of course, with a lot of veterans. Banggitin ko lamang mga kaibigan, nung panahon na yun, mantakin nyo yung lineup nila: Al Solis, Freddy Hubalde, Glenn Capasio, si Padim Israel, JB Yango, Willie Generalao, Onchi de la Cruz, Mon Fernandez, Manuel Marquez, Joshua Villapando, and of course, si Alvin, si Jojo, at si Jerry. Guys, ang tanong ko, parang hindi na yata nabalik yung panahon ng ganyang klase ng expansion. Do you think that, yung ganong klase ng style ng expansion is the right way to move just to bring up again yung isang komponan na papasok sa PBA? Jo, ikaw muna.
I don't think that's going to be possible at this time. Kasi yung time na yun, I think yung PBA nga, as you mentioned, kukonti na lang yung mga players na natira, and then it so happened na marami pang natitira mga amateur players na magagaling. We were together in the national team for 2 years, kami nila Alvin and Jerry, and we were ripe for the pros. And I think we just came in at the right time to inject new life in the PBA. But right now, ang dami ng players ngayon na mahirap magkaroon ng expansion, and then we're already 12 teams in the PBA. So pagdagdagan mo pa yun ng mga couple of teams, medyo mahirap na, masyadong masikip na yung liga natin. So I don't think that's going to be possible at this time.
Well, obviously pinag-aaralan niya ng PBA, but yung the kind of expansion, Alvin, na meron kayo when you brought in when you got the core of yung at that time it was Tanduay, and then of course pumasok kayo, mukhang tama si Jojo, no? Mukhang that has not happened in a long time para sa PBA, no? Kasi iba yung excitement na nadala nyo nung panahon na yun, eh.
Yeah, imagine na combination of veterans and ano po yun, rookies, tapos parang may rivalry between Mon and Senator Jaworski, kaya nagkaroon ulit ng interest yung PBA, yung fans. Kaya, I think
Go ahead, Alvin.
So, ngayon po, with 12 teams po, parang na rin po, maliit na po yung chance na magkaroon ng ganong super team ulit.
Sabi nga ni Jojo, when you came in, so much hype sa inyong tatlo, no? You came from the national team, you were all MVPs ng PABL nung panahon na yon. You came from a very successful collegiate career. Alvin, you were with Mapua. Jojo came from Cebu, and Jerry came from the University of the East. You played in the PABL rather, and pinapanood na kayo nung panahon na yon. You had so many fans. Anong expectations nyo nung pagpasok nyo as rookies? And immediately, anong naibigay na role sa inyo ng head coach nyo nung panahon na yon, si Mon Fernandez? Alvin?
Because of the yung matagal nga kami, gaya ng sabi ni Jolas, matagal kami with the RP team. Tapos meron kaming chance din to play as guest team sa PBA. So parang we're ripe na rin po to play the PBA. Kaya parang na rin po, ready na kami for the PBA.
Was there so much pressure, Jo, nung pagpasok? Because alam naman natin, ang taas ng expectation. Was there, describe the pressure that you went through just as rookies. Jo? Jojo?
We have a little bit of technical difficulty.
Wala yung audio ni
If I
Jojo.
get your question right,
Can we
I
try
think
to
the
get Jojo's
expectations,
audio?
yeah, the expectations were
Hold
there
on,
for us to.
Mukhang nawala yung audio ni Jojo eh. We'll try to get back yung audio ni Jojo Lastimosa. But Alvin, ikaw, you came in mid-season. Hindi ka kagad nakapasok in 1988. Yung ba medyo mabigat sa loob mo na hindi ka kagad nakapasok at ika nga nakapaglaro right from the bat, right sa opening season ng rookie year mo?
Parang 3 at a time lang ata.
Yes, na-miss ko rin yung first conference and finals din sila with David third kill. But I have to honor my yung stint ko with RFM Chiefs Hot Dogs. Kaya na-miss ko po yung first conference. But nung half of the year na po, excited na ako to play with Pure Foods. Talagang I prepared hard, tapos excited to be with my nila Jolas and Jerry, Glenn and Jack. Plus siyempre po actually po talagang timing din po. Blessing din po to be with Pure Foods kasi imagine si Coach Mon Fernandez pumunta po sa bahay to recruit me. Sinabihan ako na to play with Pure Foods, kaya yun po napapayag din po ako.
Okay, let me go back to Jojo. Jojo,
Yes,
it's about the pressure coming in as a rookie. Can you describe to us nung panahon na yun? With all the hype, ano ang naramdamang pressure going into the PBA?
Yes, Joe.
Jerry
I
boy.
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Si Com.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Joe, go ahead. Can you hear me? Go ahead.
I don't know if they can hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
I
the
can
question,
hear you.
Joe?
Jerry, can you hear me?
Were you asking about
pressure?
Yung pressure. Noli, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Joe, klaro ka, Joe. And Alvin. Klaro
Yeah, I
si
know.
Com.
You're
si
also
Com.
clear. Naririnig ko rin si Com Noli. Pero
Narinig ni Jerry.
What was the question, Joe?
Pwede kong gawin si Alvin na MC. Alvin, gawin mo si Jerry. Gawin mo nga.
So you were talking about pressure.
Pressure. Ano naramdaman na pressure ni Jerry at saka ni Jojo noong panahon na yun?
Yeah, yung pressure lang upon entering the PBA. Yun lang.
Yung tanong.
Yung pressure, let me go first. Yung pressure, I think there was a bit of pressure dahil yung pagpasok namin before.
The audio. Tingnan mo natin. We have some time. Sige. Ayusin muna natin, Gaba, yung ating producer. We'll begin first a little bit kasi mukhang nahihirapan tayong pagsabay-sabayin. Okay, but Alvin, nung panahon na yon in 1988, alam naman natin ang laki ng boost ng Pure Foods. And kayo, ika nga nakapaglaro kagad. Pero despite the star-studded lineup, you only finished with 2 runner-up finishes in the Open and in the All-Filipino. And you did not win a championship hanggang 1990. Almost 3 years. Was it a case of masyadong mataas lamang ang expectation, masyadong mataas ang hype for the team, or talagang sobrang lang lakas talaga ng mga kalaban at minalas lang because you really had a team that could contend and win a championship even at your rookie year?
Of course, yung goal naman namin po is to help Pure Foods win the championship, but talagang with a star-studded lineup, parang parang dapat chemistry muna with the team. Yung mga roles na dapat specific roles na binibigay ng coaching staff for the team, for the players. yun po sana yung makakatulong to get the championship on its maiden year.
Okay.
Sa amin po, dapat record din po yun. But siguro hindi pa lang po time para sa team.
Sa championship. All right, let me go to Jojo. Jo, kanina tinatanong ka about the pressure. Can you describe to me the pressure that you received as a rookie coming into the PBA?
I personally, wala ako masyado na feel na pressure. It was just, I think, knowing that yung team na sinalihan ko is a combination of a champion team kasi nanggaling sa Tanduay yung grupo na yun, sila Coach Mon. And malakas na yung team by itself. And then pinasukan namin and people were just expecting so much from us. But as we all know now, yung basketball, it's not about talent anymore. So we might be loaded with talent, but we actually lacked cohesiveness in that team. And we were just running purely on talent. And yun ang naging problema namin because I remember yung rookie year ko, si Coach Mon yung coach namin during that time and he was doubling as a coach and as a player. And that's a difficult thing to do during that time and even now. So I remember I never started yung time na yun. Palagi ako nasa second quarter. We played 12 and 12. So starting five niya, si Freddy, si Willie, sila Padim, and then si Mon, yung mga beterano, tapos papasok kami on the second quarter. So meaning, if I'm going into second quarter, I'm gonna finish the game, which is fine by me. So second and fourth quarter. So yun ang naalala ko, there wasn't much strategy during that time. It's just like, ito yung first five ko, ito yung second five mo, you compete with us and let's see if you can beat us. So, and eventually, when it comes down to siguro mga strategy, dun kami natalo. And then, of course, yung lack of cohesiveness nga.
Well, ika nga ganun ka, star-studded, talagang ang hirap palasahin ng players. But of course, it was a thrill for the fans to see all of ganun kaganda yung team. And of course, the other teams were also very strong. But, seeing a new team na ganun ka-loaded, it was really a thrill for the fans.
It was a thrill for the fans because if you were there during our time, we were just playing. We were just playing. Basta kung may chance kami mag 1-1, we go 1-on-1. Wala masyadong ball screen, wala masyadong motion offense. It's just rebound, pass, go, shot. So parang ganun lang palagi yung offense namin. So wala masyadong half court. If you have a chance to shoot right away, you shoot right away. So parang yung run and gun style in the 80s, parang ganun yung nangyayari sa amin.
All right. Let's bring in Jerry. Jerry, tingnan natin kung makakausap na natin si Jerry ngayon. Mukhang we're still trying to get the signal kay Jerry. Ayan. Ayan, si Alvin pala. Okay, let me ask you now. You played with, noong panahon na yon, ang dami nyo nakalaro ng mga napakagagaling na mga imports. Derek Flight Brown, David Third Kill, Kenny Redfield, Ronnie Grandison. Ang dami niyan mga imports na yan. Who was the best import na nakalaro nyo when you were with Pure Foods, nung kayo magkakasama, or at least nung, alam ko, Jojo, you did not stay too long, but at least during your time na nandun ka, who was the best import that you ever played with? Alvin and Jojo.
You're talking about Pure Foods or even after Pure Foods? Yung time lang ng Pure Foods kami.
Let's limit it muna sa Pure Foods, nung panahon ninyo sa Pure Foods na magkakasama kayo.
Sino ba yung mga kalaban namin ng Pure Foods na magaling na import? Nandun na ba nandun na yata si Norman eh. Of course, Coach Norman was a standout during that time, and I think not a lot of people know that si Coach Norman was a beast when he was here, and he was a legit NBA player. Kaya his game wasn't so beautiful, but he got the job done. He rebounded, everything, the hustle play, he defended, he kayang gawin lahat ni Norman Black, but yung mga nakalaban natin before sa Alvin kasi I remember our imports. We had Darren Queenan when we won in 1990 and Rob Rose. We also had yung 6'1" import from Philadelphia sa rookie year natin. So I can't remember the opponent. Sinong naalala mo na
Dexter
nakalaban
Shouse.
natin? Si Dexter Shouse, yeah. Pero kasama natin yun eh.
Oo, Dexter Shouse. Oo, nagkaroon ng problema.
Joe
Alvin,
Ward from Malakas, Joe Ward.
Si Joe Ward yung nasa... Si Joe Ward,
the praying,
tapos na yun.
Diba?
Hindi na ano yun, di ba? Hindi na yata Pure Foods yun si Joe Ward.
No, Hinebra siya.
Oo nga, ibig sabihin, tapos na yung Pure Foods days natin.
Okay, let me ask you. Alam naman natin, very colorful, very eventful ang taong 1988. You also had won your championship sa Pure Foods for the first time, and that was the last title ni Baby Dalupan. Back in 1990, you've gone through. Then Coach Chot Reyes won his first title in 1993, and of course, marami pang coaches na pinagdaanan kayo. Let me know, who do you think is the one that really gave you the most influence? Lalong-lalo na ngayon, not only as a player, but now that you are coaching, Joe and Alvin, you are still involved sa Pure Foods. Who do you think had the most impact sa buhay ninyo? Alvin?
Yes, Com. With the maestro, Coach Baby D, parang doon lumabas yung galing namin. All of the players parang lumabas yung nag-shine yung talents namin. Of course, Coach Chot, 4 years din with Pure Foods, nadagdagan. He added a lot of mga skills sa team.
Jojo?
I think it has to be Tim Cohn. Because I spent a lot of my playing years with him, 10 out of the 15 years. I think it was where I found out that preparing for a game can actually have a huge impact in the outcome of the game. So Tim was a very detailed person, and I experienced in Alvin to how detailed he was when we were in the national team.
Correct.
He takes care of from players 1 to 15, so he takes time to teach them. I think that's really important, and he was able to connect with the players. So that's one good thing about him, that he connected with his players.
Hands-on.
He's very hands-on, and that's the reason why he has so much influence in me, in the way I would coach and how I would prepare my team as well.
All right. Well, obviously these are names na hindi pwedeng tawaran. Dalupan, Reyes, Cohn, 3 of the greatest coaches that we've ever seen in the PBA. Magbe-break tayo sandali, guys. We'll just take a very quick break. We'll be back sa ilang sandali. Ito po ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at Sherry Lou.
Panatilihing malinis ang ating katawan. Resistensya natin ay dapat palakasin. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ng COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Palagi ang maghugas ng mga kamay gamit ang sabon at malinis na tubig. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ng COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Sa may sakit, ika'y dumistansya para di ka mahawa. Kung uubo at babahing, bibig at ilong iyong takpan. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong, nating labanan ng COVID-19. Kaya natin to, wag lang matakot. Kung sama-sama ay walang problema. Labanan ng COVID, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta sa doh.gov.ph o sundan ang official DOH Facebook page.
Mga magulang, alam naming stress na kayo sa pagsubok na dala ng COVID-19. Pero inyong tandaan na hindi kayo nag-iisa. Para maiwasan ang stress, maglaan ng oras kada araw para magpahinga at gumawa ng libangan. Makipagkwentuhan at kumustahan rin sa inyong mga anak. Makatutulong ito upang maibsan ang stress o pangamba na maaaring nararamdaman nila. Alagaan ang sarili at maging panatag para sa inyong mga anak. Sa inyo sila umaasa sa panahon ng krisis kagaya nito. Panatilihing positibo ang inyong pananaw. Tayong lahat ay magkakasama sa pagharap sa COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa Save the Children.
Power and Play with Noli Eala.
Alright mga kaibigan, nagbabalik po ang Power and Play at kasama pa rin po natin ang Big Three ng Pure Foods noong dekada 80, si Jojo Lastimosa, Alvin Patrimonio, and Jerry Codiñera. Tingnan natin kung makakausap na natin si Jerry. Jerry! Pasok natin si Jerry. Kasi kanina pang kumakatok ito si Jerry. Alam mo, typical kay Jerry Codiñera yan. Ha? Always there to support you, but he was never a guy that looked for the limelight. And let's see if we can get Jerry in. God, kasi alam niyo po, talagang itong ating sistema, pagpapaumanhin niya, hingi po kami ng paumanhin, talagang mahirap. Ayan, si Alvin, andyan pa rin, of course, and of course si Jojo. Di pa rin natin maipasok si Jerry. Alright, let's proceed, guys. We have a few minutes left, but let me ask you, in yung breakup nitong Big Three, because Joe, you were obviously traded in 1991 for Boy Cabajo. Jerry was traded in 1999 for Andy Siegel. Looking back, during the panahon na yun, Joe, and I also wanted to ask this about Jerry. If you had a choice, would you have wanted to stay with Pure Foods? And second question, John, is that brings the point of free agency. Do you think that kung may nung free agency, at least you would have a choice to make, you could have made, yung kung saan mo gusto pumunta, pwede mong piliin yun. Do you think there's a case for free agency given or seeing what happened sa inyong tatlo ni Alvin, ni Jared, ikaw? Joe.
Yeah, okay. My case then wasn't really about free agency, but it was a trade. Pero during the time, free agency was, I think, in effect still. Pero since it was a trade, and then you ask me whether if I have to go back and would I make the same decision again about leaving. During that time, Noli, yung my last year ko, nasa third year ko, I wasn't playing a lot of minutes already. I was already in my third year, and I thought na I needed to expand my role, and I needed to play more minutes, and I wasn't getting that in Pure Foods. And I thought I needed more coaching, and I needed to learn the game more. So para sa akin, staying there wasn't a good situation for me, and it just so happened I was traded to Alaska, and I was under Coach Tim. And that's where my game actually picked up. I was given more responsibilities, and my game really expanded, and it got to another level. So, but now looking back, if we had really, if we got really proper coaching, or I mean like a younger coach who will be as detailed as Tim, like maybe a Chot Reyes during that time, which he came in actually later.
After,
I think kung nagpaiwan ako doon during that time, kinakausap ko nga si Alvin and Jerry, kung nagsama sana tayo longer, maybe we could have built another dynasty also. So I think there was a really great possibility na that could have happened if there was a young mind, young coach who was able to mentor us.
All right. Let me try to get back si Jerry Codiñera dito.
Hi, Kom. Sorry.
Mukhang
kumusta?
Ayan, Jerry. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Alright.
Oo, dahil po my son. Yeah, sige, go ahead.
Pick it up from where kami nag-uusap, no? In 1999, na-trade ka sa Mobiline for Andy Siegel nung panahon na yon, and that basically broke up ito pinag-uusapan nating Big Three. Were there any regrets, sama na loob, and that brings us to the point, kung nung panahon na yon may choice ka, would you have stayed with Pure Foods?
Of course, I will stay with Pure Foods. My soul, my life talaga is with Pure Foods. But Well, it was really so sudden because one of our good friends, Coach Eric Altamirano, he became a part of yung champion team when I was with Alvin and teammate namin din ni Jojo. There was a call, he offered me, o pare, gusto mo ba akong tulungan? Coach, ano yun? Gusto mo ba maglaro sa akin? Sabi niya, of course, Coach. O sige, titrade ko si Andy Siegel for you. So, I will improve everything, your contract, and everything. Tapos, sabi niya, go. Siyempre, as a good soldier. You know, the offer is so tempting. Pero then after a week, no, na-realize ko, doon ako na-shock na ang hirap pala nung trade. Kasi ibang feeling.
Oo. Well, Jerry, alam natin si Jojo was able to get a Grand Slam with Alaska. Si Alvin, in a way, nakakuha ng Grand Slam nung siya ay manager na sa Pure Foods. In your career, sa tingin mo ba na kung nagsama-sama kayo, there was a possibility na kayo would have built that, sabi nga ni Jojo, baka nakapaggawa kayo ng dynasty. But more than that, do you think a Grand Slam defines yung career ng isang player? Mahalaga ba talaga?
Yeah, it will be a part. It will be a part of your career. It's nice to have a Grand Slam. But sa akin, for me, kasi Noli, when I became a professional player, it's a big come true for me. Ang laking bagay na sa akin yon, being chosen as one of the 25 greatest players of PBA and 40 greatest. Sa akin, icing na lang yung Grand Slam. But syempre, it's a feat. Napakahirap yon. Every ingredient should be present. Every factor ng winning a championship, it's present. Considering yung situation namin na we're in every championship, we change players, we change coaches, which is napakahirap na ganun situation. You keep on adjusting. So napakahirap lalo na with the departure of Jolas na talagang I was hoping we will stay together hanggang matapos because he has established himself as one of our scorers. He's a two-way player. So I really felt so parang ang nakakapalambot yun nga ang feeling ko noon. Kaya we really struggled with me and Alvin talagang to put up with different players year in, year out.
Alright, let me ask this to the three of you. Unahin ko na ikaw, Jerry, since nandiyan ka na. Alam ko na kayo magkakaibigan talaga. But was there any professional or personal rivalry or jealousy sa inyong tatlo? Meron ba? Dahil kayo sabay-sabay pumasok, obviously, ang daming expectations sa inyo, the hype, the popularity, pero kayo ba nagkainggitan kahit papano? Jerry, ikaw muna.
Wala. Sa akin, hindi ako nagkaroon ng feeling na because matagal na kami from way back and lalo na especially Jojo, if he sees something in you, talagang he tells you right away. Kaya which is good for us And we try to excel every day, every game. And especially with Alvin, lalo na sa amin, wala kaming feeling of lagi puro healthy competition. Wala kaming feeling of jealousy because at the end of the day, at the end of the game, we have to get the W's, the wins. And our objective there is really to win. I always set aside whatever, kung ano man yung feelings or whatever that doesn't help in the game. Wala naman yun inaalis natin.
Okay, tanungin natin si Alvin at saka si Jojo. Let me see if I can get Alvin on the screen now. Kasama ni Jerry dito. Ayan. Alvin, I was asking, alam ko kung narinig mo, but
yes,
nagkaroon ba kayo ng kahit paano, kayo masyado kayong close, nagkaroon ba kayo ng kahit na anong klaseng inggitan, professional or personal jealousy among the three of you? Ikaw, Alvin.
It's always talagang blessing to be with Jerry and Jolas, no. Akala ko hindi na kami maghihiwalay since RP days pa kasi 86. So that was 5 years na, kaya ang feeling ko noon talagang more championships for Pure Foods. We have different roles naman, different positions. Si Jolas talagang scorer, yeah. And Jerry center, and ako power forward. So wala naman ganung feelings na magsisira sa team.
Jojo?
Yeah, yun na nga yung sinasabi ni Alvin nga na wala kaming competition in terms of yung role namin because I was a guard, Alvin was a power forward, Jerry was a center who was defensive-minded. And there was no professional jealousy whatsoever. Kung iisipin mo, magkaiba kami lahat ng personality, kaming tatlo eh. Si Alvin, medyo very subdued, low-key lang, ganyan, and he does his work. Si Jerry, palabiro, akala mo hindi seryoso, pero para sa kanya, masaya yung mundo. Sa akin naman, medyo may pagkaseryoso ako ng konti. So, I think we complement each other in terms of personality. So, kaya naiisip ko, kung nagsama lang sana kami for a longer time, it's you don't know what's really gonna happen. So I thought na kung nagsama lang kami with nga sabi ko kanina, with a coaching na medyo bata na medyo detalyado, I think we would have done really well.
And I'm sure maraming umaasa sana nagsama kayo. But let me ask you, nauubusan tayo ng oras dito. I'll ask one question to each of you about the other. And I'll first start with Jerry. Jerry on Alvin, alam mo, the captain changed so many things sa mundo ng basketball. He's a 4-time MVP. Pero isang bagay nga nang sinasabi nila is that, and he's always discussed among the greatest players of all time. Pero yung Ramon Fernandez nanalo daw ng Grand Slam, and now Junmar is chasing a Grand Slam. Do you think na dapat maging batayan yan as to who is the greatest, yung Grand Slam achievement? Jerry, on Alvin, do you think na nababahiran kahit na paano yung ni Alvin, yung kanyang career na because of that, kulang ng Grand Slam sa kanyang, as a player, sa kanyang highlights?
Well, Noli, mahirap talaga kasi yung ganung basis, no, yung to have a Grand Slam na to be judged, kailangan meron ka nun. But ibang sitwasyon kasi at that time eh. Alam mo naman syempre sa maraming nangyayari year in, year out. Ang hirap ng maraming factors para to put up that Grand Slam na team eh. So sa akin, for me, Alvin will always be there on top. Top 3 yan siya. Hindi pwedeng mawawala si Alvin doon. To be with him, talagang makita mo naman yung kahit saan mo siya ilagay na team, kahit saan mo siya talagang he will change a lot of things. Likewise with Jojo, talagang mga top caliber players lahat yan, top 10. It's just a matter of who will complement you, who will provide you all the yung mga ingredients of winning a championship.
Okay. Alvin, ikaw naman. Kanina pinag-uusapan yung character ni Jojo. Alam mo, he's one of the, sabi nga nila, mahirap maintindihan because sabi ni Jojo, nagbit naman niya, he's very serious. Pero what trait of Jojo ang gustong-gusto mo na wala ka? Na sana, if you had that, you could have been even a better player sa PBA. Alvin.
He's the fourth quarter man talaga.
So Alvin, ano tingin mo?
Yung good looks kasi meron na si Alvin eh. So hindi niya pwede kunin sa akin yan. Meron na siya yan.
No, ikaw nga yung spike niya, di ba?
Nabusan tayo ng oras. Ano Alvin? Anong trait ni Jojo gusto mo sana meron ka?
Legs.
I think kasi yung leadership niya, I think yung he walk the talk. Talaga yung seriousness na malilipat sa talagang yung competitiveness niya, talagang ayaw magpatalo.
Alright. Ikaw, Jojo, ito, para naman kay Jerry. The 1993 MVP race was one of the closest ever. And Jerry, well, he natalo siya ni Alvin. He was unable to win an MVP sa kanyang career. Do you think Jerry, if he had played somewhere else, would have been more, mas marami siyang awards? Or do you think that, talagang it was meant that Jerry was really the guy that would really just make your group, the Pure Foods team, so successful, and he doesn't mind yung mga personal accolades?
Yeah, that's Jerry. Para siyang si Scottie Pippen for Michael Jordan. He's just parang there in the shadows na parang if he was in another team like si Scottie Pippen, I'm sure he would have won probably or maybe a contender for an MVP. And that's also Jerry if he was with another team. But it just so happened, even with us three together, we knew that Alvin was the more well-rounded player because he could rebound, he could shoot, he could post up, he can shoot from the outside. So, see, Alvin will just pile up all the stat sheet. So let's put it that way. And I would score. Maybe I'll pass a little, pero I won't rebound as much as Alvin. So when you combine everything, so Alvin would really stand out in terms of his game would really stand out kasi marami siyang masyado nagagawa. So, well, Jerry would have won if he was with another team, an MVP, and the same goes with me. And when I was with Alaska, ganun din nangyari sa akin. So I was the number 1 player there. I had a chance to win an MVP. Alvin and I went head-to-head in 1991, and I lost to Alvin as well.
Well, alam nyo, marami pa tayo pwede sana pagkwentuhan about your era because that was a golden era. That was an era, I believe, that was a pivotal point sa kasaysayan ng PBA. And thanks to you, the PBA is strong, and is popular as ever. I hate to say goodbye to you, pero sana we'll have a part 2. Maraming salamat, Jojo, Alvin, Jerry, for your time, and we stay safe. We hope to see you soon in the basketball court.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kong.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Alvin, Jerry.
Alvin, Jo, thank you.
Maraming po salamat sa lahat ng sumubaybay sa atin ngayong araw na to. Medyo overtime tayo, but it was a fun day. Sa ngalan po ng lahat ng aming nakasama dito, again, as we always say, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Happy Sports Weekend, mga kapatid.
Game over na! Next Saturday ulit, Noli Eala Power and Play sa Radyo Singko 92.3 News FM.
Luzon Enhanced Community Quarantine. Sino ang maaaring lumabas ng bahay? Papayagan kang lumabas ng bahay kung ikaw ay health worker, border control at iba pang kabilang sa serbisyong kritikal. Magdala ng alinman sa mga sumusunod: identification card, proof of address, certificate of employment, delivery receipt para sa mga maghahatid ng goods mula o papunta sa lugar ng quarantine, katunayan o applicable authorization na nagmula sa tanggapan ng pamahalaan, member ng media na authorized ng PCOO.